Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're kind of tearing up the modern rule book on success, on productivity.
Yeah.
We all sort of operate under this assumption, right, that if you're not visibly busy, if you're not constantly moving, you're falling behind.
Hmm.
But our stack of sources for this deep dive, they suggest this belief isn't just like inefficient. It's actually counterproductive.
It really is.
We are unpacking a truly powerful reframe here. I mean, what if the single most effective, most high leverage thing you could do today wasn't chasing down the next email or, attending another meeting?
Right.
What if true, genuine productivity actually required you to consciously, deliberately choose,
Yeah.
well, nothing?
That's the mission today, really, to move away from this glorification of busyness and fundamentally redefine rest.
Yeah.
Culturally, we've totally confused rest with laziness.
Yeah.
We've somehow elevated just relentless, visible activity to like a moral virtue.
We see it everywhere, don't we? The person bragging about surviving on 4 hours of sleep.
Oh, absolutely. Or the professional who eats lunch while typing at their desk. People wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. It's strange.
It is.
And we measure our personal worth by the sheer number of tasks we can juggle. But the sources we looked at argue this approach comes at a massive cost.
Which is?
Chronic fatigue, for one. Massive burnout. And crucially, this constant state of living on the surface.
Yeah.
We're always just reacting, never really creating.
So we're basically skimming the surface of our own potential because we never let ourselves reset and go deeper.
It's okay.
What's the counter argument then? What's the core thesis we're getting from these sources?
It's simple, but pretty revolutionary.
Right.
Rest is not passive. It's not wasted time.
Right.
It is a necessary proactive component of high performance. It must be treated as productive.
Okay, so this whole deep dive is about making that shift. Seeing rest not as some optional reward, but as, well, mandatory fuel.
Precisely. Mandatory fuel.
I like that. So let's nail down that definition shift right away then. The sources are clear. True rest isn't simply the absence of work. It is, and this is the phrase to keep in mind, the essential preparation for it. It's an active process. Restoration.
And what's fascinating is how the sources make this point so relatable. They use this common tech analogy. Think about your smartphone, right? The tool we're all constantly glued to.
Okay.
When that battery hits zero, you don't judge it. You wouldn't look at that drained phone and call it lazy for shutting down, would you?
No, of course not. You just recognize it's a system. It's depleted its energy.
Right.
You simply plug it in. If you want it to work again, charging is mandatory. Non-negotiable.
Exactly. And we spend so much energy our workflows, our tech,
Right.
but we ignore the human element.
Mm-hmm.
If you, the listener, want consistently high performance, you have to acknowledge that the human body, the mind, they're infinitely more complex living systems.
That also need regular recharging. Scheduled recharging, even.
Yes, to function at their best.
So the argument kind of flips on its head. Instead
Right.
of asking, can I afford to rest? We should be asking, can I afford not to rest? Because resting in this framework means returning to your strongest self, your most creative self, most present self.
And that's a huge return on investment for just pausing.
It's leverage, pure leverage.
Mm.
Okay, but if this pause delivers such a massive return, we need to know what's happening, under the hood.
Right. What are the mechanics?
Yeah, what are the system mechanics running while we're maybe staring out the window or taking a walk? Because I think for many of us, if we can understand the mechanics, the physiology, the cognitive stuff, it's easier to accept the practice without feeling guilty.
That makes sense. And this is where the science in the sources really provides those aha moments.
Okay.
Rest is described not as a luxury, right, but as the very foundation for growth, healing, and genuine productivity.
Foundation. Okay.
We tend to focus only on output, but rest allows the body and mind to shift into these essential processing modes that are like chemically impossible when we're under constant stress or task switching.
Right. You can't do both at once. So let's dig into the evidence. What specific productive things are happening when we stop consciously doing?
Okay, we can break down the biological benefits into three main categories highlighted in the source material.
Great.
First up, learning consolidation. This is vital for any learner listening.
Mm-hmm.
When you're actively learning, taking in new ideas, mastering a skill, that information's sort of temporarily held like in a mental buffer zone.
Okay.
Rest is the critical window, especially deep sleep, but even quiet waking time, when your brain basically runs an internal defrag It stabilizes those temporary files
Ah.
and physically moves them into long-term memory. It builds the structures.
Wow. So wait, if I spend, say, 4 hours intensely studying or learning new data for a presentation,
Yeah.
and then I immediately jump to another intense task without any mental break, I might actually be sabotaging the learning I just worked so hard for.
That's exactly the risk the sources point out. You need that consolidation window. The studies they cite suggest memory recall can drop pretty significantly if you don't allow for immediate low-stimulation rest right after intense mental effort.
So you're filling the bucket during the work,
Right.
but resting is what seals the lid, makes the knowledge actually stick.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. Seals the lid.
That's a powerful argument right there for building breaks into, well, any study schedule or work routine. What about the physical side?
Good question. That's the second point. Tissue repair and homeostasis. We often think of this with exercise, muscle repair,
Sure.
But it's also crucial for managing chronic stress. The body uses rest to repair tissues, yes, but also regulate hormones, reduce inflammation, and crucially, manage stress chemicals like cortisol.
Ah, cortisol.
Yeah. If you're constantly running on high alert, your nervous system never gets a chance to recalibrate, to get back baseline. You just end up exhausting your adrenal system.
Which leads back to that burnout we talked about.
Exactly. And the third benefit, which I think is key for anyone whose job needs, novelty or problem solving.
Creativity.
Yes, the boost to creativity. And the sources connect this directly to neuroscience.
How so?
They talk about the activation of something called the default mode network, or DMN, in the brain.
DMN.
But the DMN is what lights up when you're not focused on an external task, when you're daydreaming maybe, or just zoning out. This network specializes in connecting disparate ideas, generating novel solutions, helping you get those aha moments.
That focused concentration sometimes blocks?
Precisely. Focus work can actually inhibit these kinds of connections sometimes.
Huh. So if you're staring at a tough problem, hitting a wall, forcing more focus might be the wrong approach.
Often, yes. You'd activate the DMN, step away, let your brain wander a bit.
That makes sense. The breakthrough often happens not when you're hammering away at the keyboard,
Right.
but when you're doing something mindless, like walking the dog, washing dishes.
Or just taking that short break. The brain is busy connecting dots in the background, creating new pathways that intense focus can actually suppress.
Okay, the warning here seems pretty clear then. Pushing through that wall of fatigue. It's not a sign of virtue, it's just leading to diminishing returns.
They actually quantify this danger in some of the sources.
Yeah.
While everyone's threshold is different, the data suggests that after a certain point, say 6, maybe 7 hours of intense, focused work, the quality of your output can drop significantly, like 30 or 40%.
Wow, that much.
Yeah, which means those last hours of visible activity might be functionally useless. Or worse, actually create more work later correcting mistakes.
Ouch.
So, if you truly want to maximize efficiency, you have to acknowledge the threshold exists and schedule the rest that resets it.
Okay, that all makes perfect sense scientifically. But here's the real-world hurdle, right? And the sources must touch on this.
The guilt, the culture.
Exactly. How do we actually integrate this? We operate in these corporate cultures, sometimes academic cultures too, that are obsessed with visible output, hours logged. How do you justify even a 10-minute break to zone out when your manager or client just sees desk time?
That is the necessary challenge.
Yeah.
And yes, the sources acknowledge this massive cultural programming around guilt, that frantic need to look busy if someone walks by, or quickly close non-work tabs,
Yeah.
that internal voice telling us we're lazy.
Yeah, I know that voice.
The key is recognizing that taking a deliberate step back is the most powerful step forward. It requires reframing the action itself, seeing it as a strategic necessity, not laziness.
So stop performing productivity.
Yes, and start actually practicing it. The sources really advocate for adopting these micro-restorative activities. It doesn't have to be a week-long retreat.
No.
No, it's about small, high-impact acts of conscious disengagement integrated right into your day.
Okay, so we have to fight the guilt and replace it with strategy. What are the practical applications then? What does this productive rest actually look like on, say, a Monday afternoon for the average learner?
It needs to be low input, high return. Simple stuff, really. The examples provided are very accessible. It could be taking a nap, even just a 20-minute power nap. Research shows it dramatically improves alertness, cognitive function, without making you groggy later.
Okay, 20 minutes. That's doable.
Or it could be staring out the window for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just consciously letting your mind wander, activating that DMN we talked about.
5 minutes, just nothing.
Yeah. Or maybe reading a book purely for fun, something totally unrelated to work. That lets the brain escape that problem-solving pressure. Sources suggest this is really good for people in analytical jobs.
A mental palate cleanser.
Exactly. And maybe the most radical act of all in our hyper-connected world.
Let me guess. Put the phone down.
Not just down, but simply sitting in silence. No phone, no music, no
Yeah.
podcasts.
Why?
No audio input at all, just, observing your own thoughts.
That does sound radical.
But the crucial distinction here is this.
Yeah.
If you spend your break scrolling social media or answering personal texts, that's not really rest.
Right. It's a different input.
It's swapping one source of information overload for another. True rest lets your system organize, process, and actually recharge.
And crucially, the argument is this isn't weakness. It's not slacking.
No, it's an elite performance strategy.
Right. When you take that pause, you're giving yourself permission. You're running the essential maintenance program that ensures the next hour of work is genuinely high quality.
Not just frantic filler.
Exactly. Not just filler. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's just crystallize that key shift in perspective we need to embrace.
Okay.
Rest is not a reward you get after work is done. And it's definitely not a concession to being tired.
Mm-hmm.
It's the necessary fuel. The fuel that enables high performance in the first place. Stop waiting until the tank is empty.
Absolutely. And if we accept this premise, that productivity needs restoration, and specifically, that rest is when our minds consolidate learning. Well, this raises an important question for you, the listener.
A challenge.
A challenge. Time to apply this knowledge right away. This week, try to identify one period of doing that you know is kind of low yield.
Like what?
Maybe that 30 minutes of aimless web browsing, or that hour spent in an unnecessary meeting.
We've all been there.
And consciously replace it. Maybe not the whole hour, but replace, say, 15 minutes of it with quiet, deliberate, non-stimulatory. Nothing. Just try it.
So think about your own internal charging habits. Are you prioritizing that essential preparation during your day, making sure you don't hit that point of diminishing returns?
Or are you running your system into the red, sacrificing quality for the illusion of quantity?
The choice to rest really is the choice to perform better. Start charging now.